Hi there, it's Moira McDonald. Thanks very much for coming by to see what I've got to offer the world today. I'm going to continue on with the stamping and layering. Today I thought I could show you embossing, and I'm also going to show you how to do a stamp as a focal image, and obviously stamping round about it. So I'm going to be working with, to do the embossing, Versamark. You saying that okay? Versamark, which is a kind of, they call them, well, they say it's a watermark stamp pad, because you can actually stamp with it and just leave it, although initially it's very sticky. And that's why it's useful for embossing powder, because obviously if it's sticky, you put the embossing powder on the top, heat it up, and the embossing powder melts and gives you a kind of metallic finish to your work. But we'll tackle that last, I think. So what we'll do in the meantime is I'm just going to stick with the same two inks just now, Tattered Rose and Weathered Wood. I'm going to have to use something new. I've used it in videos before. It's called masking paper, and I've used this before, so there's a wee holes cut out there. This is by a company called Inkadoo. I can't remember how much it cost. I don't know, it was about eight quid something when I bought it. Admittedly I did probably buy it well over a year ago, and it's one of these things that at the time I thought, well, I'll buy a couple of packets because I'm going to rattle through this, but the reality was I treated it like you treat all of your crafting supplies, you know, as if it was the only one you're ever going to get, so I hardly used it. I've still got quite a number of sheets. Thankfully I only did buy one packet. So we'll save that and we'll have a wee look and see what we've got stamp wise and whatever, and as far as stencils is concerned. Now I've picked out a couple of stencils. These are both by the Crafters Workshop, so I've had these for a wee while, and they've got a variety of different things on them. There's actually a tear in that one by the looks of things, because again it's really difficult to use these without especially when you swirl. It's so easy to rip them. So I'll need to be ultra careful when I'm using this. I shouldn't really swirl when I'm doing it, I should just dab. So let me see, where was that wee? I don't even know where the wee tear was now, I can't see it. Oh well, let's not worry about it. Right, so I've dug out a couple of stamps as well. These are, I think, all Tim Holtz stamps. Yeah, they're all Tim Holtz, and I've no idea who did these ones. I bought these second hand on eBay and just accepted them as they were because they were vintage, and that was the sort of thing that I was looking for. So what we'll do is we shall choose one to do as our focal image. I would pick the lady, but I think she's really quite big. I don't suppose we need to use all of her. We can move her down the page a bit. Maybe put her there. Don't know. We'll worry about that in a minute. What we'll do first is we shall use our distress ink to colour our card, and then we'll add a wee bit of stenciling. So, if you remember what we did yesterday, start off your page a bit and just gently come on, light swirl, and you'll give yourself a little bit of colouring to your paper, so it takes it away from that stark white. But the good thing is, with not using a brown shade, it doesn't, sometimes I think, I mean, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy using what do you call it, vintage photo on a lot of pictures, not pictures, on a lot of my tags and my pages and whatever. But the problem with vintage photo is sometimes, depending on how heavy-handed you can be, it can look a little grubby. And I'm not looking for grubby, that's for sure. I'm looking to achieve an aged look, but without making it look dirty. But it's unfortunately quite easy for distress ink to end up looking dirty. Right, now, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to actually dab and hope I get good enough coverage here, because this is quite a flimsy wee stencil. So I'm trying to do the butterflies just now. Give it a very, very light rub, so don't want to do it too heavy. And that should hopefully be fine. Yeah, I mean they're not incredibly dark, but that's okay. Oh, there's the wee bit of the stencil that's torn there. That's okay, we'll get away with it. Again, what I'll do this time is, rather than rubbing, I'll definitely dab the stencil, because this is already broken by myself and my heavy-handedness. Go very gentle. I mean, I'm only trying to put down a measure of interest to the background here. It doesn't need to be really dark or anything like that, it's just a wee something, so that it doesn't look can line it up. I mean, if the worst comes to the worst, obviously what you do is you change the colour of your distress ink. If you feel you're not getting the level of coverage you had hoped for, you know, and it's not showing up quite as dark as you'd planned, you can go for another shade. There's plenty of kind of bluey grey shades in the distress ink palette. Just add these couple of circles down the bottom here. I think I'll better add something up the top again, because that looks a bit uneven. Just always be very careful with these stencils, because they are just, I don't know what kind of plastic they are, but they're fairly easily damaged, unfortunately. You'd think they'd come up with a better plan, but there you go. Right, now what I want to do next, before I do my layering stamping wise, is I want to add my focal image. To enable me to do that, now I had thought about using a stamping platform, but it's not really very fair if I do, because a lot of folk might not have one and might not see the need to buy one, and far be it from me to try to persuade anyone to buy something they really don't need. So what we'll do is we shall just use a really big stamping block, because again the stamping blocks come in all sorts of sizes. I'm using my VersaFine Smoky Grey again. I think the Smoky Grey goes particularly well with the blue shade. Hopefully that's enough, because we're only going to be stamping this. Now what we want to do, because she's so big, I don't want to get her, if I do that she is literally going to be right in the middle of it, and I don't want to do that, so I'm going to have her coming off the page a wee bit. Bear with me while my head gets in the way. Incidentally, I don't need to use a cushion below it because it's a red rubber stamp and there's already a cushion, if you like, on it. See the grey? The grey's a cushion and it takes the place of my mouse mat that I was using yesterday. So we shall put Our Lady there and press down on her. The good thing with red rubber stamps is, generally speaking, you can give a reasonable amount of, whoops, daisy, pressure for the ink to transfer to the paper. There we go, that's fine. I'm happy with that. Can you see her okay? Now, just wipe that with my wee baby wipe. When you use dark inks, black or grey, sometimes even the sepia as well, you can, your stamps will stain, and that's fine. It doesn't really cause any nuisance in terms of being able to use them. But it's one of these things that it annoys me a bit. I would prefer if they didn't stain, but you can't do anything about it. Now, I was a bit daft there, I shouldn't have bothered cleaning her, because what I need to do next is I need to stamp her onto the masking paper, but I'm not going to have time to do that until this dries. So, blow on it. I think that's fine actually. Right, so I'll ink it up again. And I'm going to stamp her onto the masking paper. It doesn't need to be an incredible quality print this time round, because what we're going to do is cut round her and cover up what we have. There we go. Give her another wee clean. Wipe my table and move her out the way. Get my stamps. Get my scissors. Right, so basically what we're doing now is we're cutting round the outline of where these, in this instance, where the words are, because obviously we don't want to do away with them, they're going to still form part of the image. And it doesn't need to be incredibly perfect. I'm not overly keen on the fussy cutting. The thing that annoys me is, see when I've watched videos on people stamping when they do this and they fussy cut and whatever, and they put it on the fast forward, and that's great for them, and I suppose it makes the video, you know, they maybe think this is the boring part, and let's face it, it's not that stimulating watching somebody cut something out. But see, at the same time, see if you don't really see how long it takes to do things, I hope you're seeing this okay incidentally, if you don't see how long it takes to do stuff, it makes it really difficult to judge if it's something you really want to tackle yourself, I find. I mean, sometimes I look at things and I think that looks really nice, but you know what, I know that's beyond me and I'm not going to bother, because I'll just be wasting my time and my money buying something that basically I won't finish to the standard it should be. Right, so that's my lady, and I'm going to actually now get her stuck down on top of that. So it peels off, there's blue paper on the back, and it's basically like a great big post-it if you know what, well, the sticky bit of the post-it, should I say. Now, I've seen in videos, folk in America can get post-it tape. I've never seen that for sale here, never ever in my life. But it looks like something that would be really, really useful. But no happening, is it? Because I can't get it near a can. Says I can't use it. If I can't use it, then it's no use to me. It looks great, but I can't get my hands on it. Right, so there she goes. She's covered up, and now we can stamp round about her using the other stamps in this stamp set and in the other wee one I've got out. So I can also, I've got a frame, and I could put a frame round her, if you know what I mean, but I don't think I'll bother. That was a nice thought, but I don't think I'll bother. Right, I don't need this massive stamp pad for doing this, but I do need a bigger pad than I've got out, so I'll get my square in between one out, and I shall put my pads on it and start inking up. Now I think first of all what I'll do is I shall actually use the weathered wood for the background. And something else you can do, just give me a second to have a look here at my inks. When it comes to distress ink, it is possible to use more than one ink on, and there we go, that's what I was looking for. Hickory Smoke is the one I'm going to go for here. Hickory Smoke, because it's a kind of grey colour, and it just means that part of my image, with any luck, might be a little bit darker. In particular, I want to darken up her boot. Right, let's see how this goes. Now, I'm stamping on top of her, but that masking paper's there. So the theory again is that where the masking paper is, it will cover round about the stamping. So I shouldn't get any of this advert stamp on top of my lady. My lady should be fine. I mean, the masking paper will have the mark on it. But there's the, you can see yourself, the ink, using distress ink, it's fairly subtle, the colour, and that's fine, because that's what I'm looking for at this point in time. I don't want anything to be too dark in my image. So I don't need to stamp off when I'm using this distress ink. I can just dive right in using it on this. Stamping off, of course, being the fact that I can stamp on a piece of paper prior to using this. I keep my stamps, incidentally, if you've ever watched, or if you've got any Stampin' Up stuff, I think it was a great idea that they keep them in these CD cases. I buy mines on eBay and just look for empty CD cases. Now I've got a stamp here with text, and obviously the shape of my tag, I'm never going to get this in completely, so I'm going to stamp this at the side here. Right, so I'm just going to stamp that there, I won't obviously get all of the text in because I've moved it down, but again it's okay because it's really only providing background for this. And I've got a wee, I'll use a smaller acrylic block for this one, my little Paris stamp, and I'll go with the hickory smoke. Stamp that there. And just to give that a wee wipe. Finally, the last one I've got says Standard Fashions, and I shall use weathered wood again. And I can actually I'll stamp that on top of her and you'll see part of it just there. And I think what we'll do is maybe put hold on. I'll get the bottom, the end of the word, and put it here. And it coming in top of that. And I think that will do us for us. So we'll just wipe our table, wipe our stamp, and we'll have a wee look. We'll take our masking paper off and see how it looks. Now she does have marks through her from the doing the what do you call it, the stenciling, but she doesn't have any of the stamping on her, because you'll notice the Standard Fashion stops there, and likewise the boot and the advert doesn't go through her head, but there is some of the marks of that, but that's fine. So that's that tag. We'll just cut off our corners. Now, having cut those off, what we'll do is move those out of the way. We'll take our, I think in this instance we'll actually take the hickory smoke, shall we? And I'm just going to use the blue one because it's not going to make a tremendous amount of difference to us. I'm going to get a wee bit of card because when you touch it you can leave your finger marks. I'm now going to go around the edge with the hickory smoke, and I've got my ink blending tool on a slight angle so that it doesn't leave massive smears. A minute, I'm not happy with that. Just go around the bottom again. That'll do us. So that's us. We've got our stamp as a focal image on this particular tag, and we've got our stamping round about her. Obviously when I punch the hole to put the ribbon or seam binding or whatever through, it will be just not that far above her head, and that will be her. So that's that one done. Now what we want to move on to is we want to have a look at embossing. So, oops, wait a minute. First thing I'm going to do is take that off, because I'm going to use the pink this time, which is the Tattered Rose. And I need to find my next tag. Where did I put it? There it is. Now, we first of all, when we're going to do embossing, one thing that you do need to be aware of is if the tag itself is wet, and by wet I mean if there's wet ink like distress ink on it that's not dried yet, if you go to emboss on it, there's every possibility that you could have your embossing powder sticking all over the place where you don't really want it to be. So what we'll do is, excuse me, we'll run round it with our Tattered Rose. We'll do our, I think our stenciling we'll do after we have done the embossing, but we'll put a layer of Tattered Rose on it first. Now the Tattered Rose, remember, is a fairly pale pink. Actually yesterday when I finished I ordered, it was another pale pink colour called Victorian Velvet, and I've ordered that from eBay just because when I saw this I thought, you know, I'm really quite enjoying this in terms of a colour. Usually everything is vintage photo. The likes of your Tattered Rose and your Victorian Velvet are fairly similar in colour, but they're, you know, they're unsung heroes. A lot of the colours are unsung heroes in distress ink because, in particular in the junk journal world, we're very guilty of only ever using vintage photo, and there are a lot of colours that can prove really useful in your crafting depending on what you're doing and what you're making. I love vintage photo. It covers a lot of problems, if you know what I mean. But that doesn't mean to say that we shouldn't be using any other ink. Right, that'll do me just now. Now what I want to do is, I want to ensure that my embossing powder is only going to stick to what I want it to stick to. So you use a powder of sorts. This is an EK Success tool, and I must admit I don't really like it that much. I've had it a wee while, and I've not really used that much of it, but that's mainly because it doesn't appear to be very easy to come out. I'm not entirely convinced that it comes out as well as it should, and I don't know, there's a little bit of it there. It's basically, I think it's what the Americans call cornstarch, but it's perfumed, so obviously something's added to it. I don't know if it's just pure cornstarch. It is kind of scented, it's a bit feminine, but I find I've got to tap it to get it out. Other folk, you see them just rattling over their paper and it's, you know, it's out. But this has, I don't know if I got a duff one. It just doesn't seem to spread about very well. And I always fear that I haven't used enough. But the good thing is, it disappears. It's not, it gets rid of, see the likes of my fingers when I'm holding this paper here, where my fingers are will leave wee greasy marks. It's unavoidable. So what you try to do is ensure you've used enough of this. You can get other ones, you can get it in a wee bag. I know, I'm pretty sure Stampin' Up! Do it in a wee bag, and there's another company called Woodware do it in a wee bag. And I would buy another one, but I've got that much of that left that it's, you know, it's a bit silly really to squander money on more of them. Right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to decide on what my focal image is going to be. Now the thing about these particular stamps is I don't know if they're going to be great for doing embossing because they're these kind of vintagey ones. They don't have a defined image. Wait a minute, I'm going to have a look and see if I can find something else to use. It used to be a lot easier to get out my seat, but then I bought this great big, I bought myself a great big, well I didn't, my husband at my birthday says to me, what do you want for your birthday? And I says, a bottle of Cointreau would do me. So I got an exercise machine. It's almost as if he just didn't listen. I don't think he wanted to listen. Right, again, these are Tim Holtz stamps. This is a massive big postmark. I'm trying to figure out which way up it's meant to be. I think it's that way. Well, we'll soon find out. So, we need to use... Oops, dropped an acrylic block. Bear with me. Right, got it. Right, so what we've got is we've got this great big stamp, and we need to first of all ink it up, and we're going to now use Versamark. And like I say, mine's a little dirty. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't pose a problem to your stamp. I do have another one because I don't like dirty things, so I bought another one. But you know that way that you think, I can still actually use this. I really only want the clean one because I don't like dirty things. So I'm still using the dirty one, basically. That's what I'm trying to say to you. So you work with this just exactly the same way as you work with you know, a normal coloured ink pad. I can have a look at it and I can see what is wet. I'll try and hold it up to the camera, but I don't know if you'll see it. But you can see if it's shiny, it's wet. So hopefully you see that. If you don't, I'm really sorry. But just one more time for good luck, because that's the kind of thing I do. And cover up with Versamark and we'll stamp. Now I think it's going to be wider than this actual card, but that's okay again, not to worry. And we'll put it down and we'll press. Now because it's so big, you need to obviously make sure you've pressed every section. Timmy, what is it darling, are you want now? Hold on a wee second, I think Timmy wants to go toilet function. There. Right Baba, I'm coming. Right, on you go. Oh, and there goes Daisy. Right, so back to our stamp. So press on your stamp as much as you can to ensure you've got a good impression. Again, the problem you're up against is because with it being Tim Holtz stuff, it's you know, kind of distressy, so it probably won't be a perfect stamp, never mind perfect impression. Card's stuck to it, so let's peel it off. And now we can apply our powder. When you're using embossing powder, it's a very wise move to put some sort of paper below you, because what you pour it over your card and you want to save what you're not going to be sticking to the card. So and as luck would have it, I've got 4 tons of embossing powder where I don't want it. So I can try blowing it, but sometimes it doesn't come away. But every single speck that shouldn't be there, when I heat it, will melt and become permanent. So what we do is we decant that back in to our little pot. It's Cosmic Shimmer I'm using, incidentally. Not that, again, not that it really matters, just any kind of embossing powder. I've used a silver one. Now I need to get a wee fine brush. Give me just a wee second till I get one. I've got a wee tooty fine paintbrush, and what I'm going to try and do is sweep away some of the bits that I don't really want. I mean, I'm not looking for this to be incredible. I'm going to accept that some of it will need to stay. Obviously, when I went over it with the embossing tool thing, I could probably, there would be some bits that I should have maybe spent more time on. But such is life. I mean, it's not too bad. I've seen worse. It'll do us. Right, so the next thing we need to do is put on the embossing tool. Now, I've had this for years. It's a Creative Craft tool. It doesn't even have a proper name, I don't think. But you basically put it on, let it heat up for a wee minute before you apply it to your paper. Be very careful because it can burn very easily. And you can emboss from the back, keep it moving, or you can emboss from the front. And hopefully I'm holding this at an angle where you're seeing the colour turning. And I think that's us. Yep, that's it embossed. So, can you see that okay? How it's got kind of shiny because it's metallic now? So now we are going to stamp round about it with our layers. I can put away, I'll wipe off the Versamark and put that back away. Now the stamps that are in this are particularly big, so I don't have a pressing desire to use those. One of them's small, it's like a wee kind of French stamp, so I'm going to use that. Where's my little? There it is. And I'm going to use the pink on this. Could also use that hickory smoke incidentally with this. I don't think it would look too bad. And again, it's a padded stamp, so we don't need to use anything. I'm going to have it running off the page because I don't need my backgrounds to be completely and utterly straight and whatever. So you'll see there's the wee stamp down the bottom there. Give that a wipe. I think I'll use, no, in fact I won't use the hickory smoke, I'll use the weathered wood on this. And maybe have it up the top. In fact I'll maybe let it dry, which would be even better. Right, let's have a look at what other stamps I've got. And I've got one with a lot of postmarks here, which is quite good. Because again it's kind of Parisian, and we use a weathered wood. Not looking for perfect quality of stamping because it's a distressed stamp, it's a distressed ink, so I know it's not going to be absolutely incredible, but we'll apply that there. We're only looking for it to be in the background of this particular tag. That's fine. Put that away. I need to watch where I'm putting that actually. Put that down there. Got another one here that's kind of Parisian, and I'll use weathered wood for this as well. Just have it off the page there. And I've actually got some nice, these are quite big, I'm not going to be using all of it. It's a big floral stamp, kind of like big rose if you like. What we'll do is we'll stick that on, we'll use tattered rose on this one. Top. It doesn't, without being tattered rose, it's not terribly dark, but again that's okay, that doesn't really matter. It's only providing our background. I'm actually going to use, wait a minute, there's another one, another big floral stamp, and I'll use that. And put a wee bit of some tattered rose on it, down the bottom, add a wee bit hickory smoke to the top. I've used a hickory smoke second because it was the darker of the two colours, so I didn't want the hickory smoke to go into the tattered rose ink, and you get a wee bit of both. Right, so I'm going to hold that up and you'll see there's quite a bit of action in the background there. I'm going to, in fact, wait a minute, I'm going to put a wee bit of tattered rose down the bottom with the flower where the stamp is. That's us. Right, so we can tidy that up, put that away. Back in my Pilot and Bolt stamps. The sun's coming up. We'd snow this morning, so that wasn't much fun. I can't say I enjoy the snow at all. It's not Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby snow we get. We get the horrible, you know, turns to slush almost immediately snow. And you walk out and you slip in it and land on your bottom. or in my case land on your back, and you're absolutely in agony for months thereafter. Right, that will do us. So there we go, that's that tag. Bear with me, I'm going to try and stand up to make sure I've got this in shot. So you'll see we've got our embossed silvery image. We have our background stamps, which are very, very subtle, but we've pretty much got that covered. And the first one again, which was our lady, which we masked off and then stamped round about her with a variety of kind of fashion stuff. There you go, that's that. So that's today's. Let me know if you've got any comments, and as usual, do your thumbs up, thumbs, keys. That's what we say when we're playing games here, keys, which means you're, you know, kind of can't be got because you put your keys up. So anyway, thumbs up, or keys as we're calling it. Make sure you subscribe, and by all means, if you feel compelled to share my video anywhere, I'm only too happy for you to put my name out there, because I'm always in the look for subscribers. Can I also say a big shout out hello to a couple of folk. Caroline, who is one of my subscribers in Scotland. Caroline is looking to kind of declutter, if you like, or destash some tartan fabric. If anybody's interested, could they let me know, and I'll try and get you in touch with Caroline. And I also want to say a big shout out to my very good friend Lisa Owen. Now Lisa has a YouTube channel, and I was sitting watching a video of hers this morning where she made some cards using some papers in her stash, and they were really nice cards, right? But as she was doing it, she says, and it only took me all night to make this one, and I just burst out laughing because I'm exactly the same. Anything that I tackle when it comes to making cards, you're there for hours, because you're looking at it, you're measuring things up, you know, and folk who don't make cards come along and say things like, can you make me up a quick card? There is no such thing as a quick card when you're dealing with the likes of me, and clearly not with Lisa as well, and I'm pretty sure Caroline's like that, because I know Caroline makes cards too, but she doesn't have a channel. Anyway, if you're interested in the tartan fabric, give me a shout. If you're not subscribed to Lisa, subscribe to her, because she's excellent and she's really funny. So get right in there, and I shall see you all again hopefully tomorrow or the next day, and we'll try and do something else with layering. Maybe not necessarily stamps, we might move on to something new. Anyway, thanks for your time. See you all later guys, bye.